Going on, All Terrain Nation, whether it be two-wheel drive,
four-wheel drive,
or all of our badass friends that like to drive things in the chat. I don't know anymore. This is your All Terrain Nation. I'm your host, Dave Boyd, alongside Kelly Boyd, and we got Mr. Tim with a D, Esterthal, on the show tonight for a few minutes, and we got Allie and Jess, of course, being in here, and I only say Tim with a D because Tim stresses. Look, there's a D in my last name.
It's because you never pronounce it correctly.
I know.
Did you see him shake his head?
I know.
It's like a TH for you. It's like and I have a speech impediment myself, and I don't speak very clearly, but at least I get Esterthal right.
Yeah,
I try to tell him every
a lot
time.
of things right. Okay.
You fix your cover.
What?
Mike.
What?
Falling apart. Come on, be professional. Anyways, yeah, we're going to talk. Tim, you got some breaking news that, and you were hanging out with some bigwigs tonight, man. I'm kind of jealous, and I guess I need to put some blue in my hats or something. What's going on with you? Where you been at tonight, man?
Yeah, it's all because of blue in my hat. Yeah, sure. I chose that on purpose. I flew myself in to Detroit to do a Ram heavy duty kind of event. And it come to find out that there was a Ford media party. It was a Christmas party at the train station, which is not anywhere connected to Yellowstone, by the way. We discussed this with Allie. It's not a connection. But anyways,
I was concerned.
In Michigan.
I was concerned.
And I happened to run into Mr. Ford CEO, Jim Farley, which, by the way, I don't know if you can pull my Facebook up, or I have it pulled up. Hold on. It was a really cool kind of moment where he was in what we call media scrum, after your presentation, and they were asking him all the pertinent questions and things about, what he's business-wise stuff. And I wanted a photo. I've been close to him for a couple of years, and I know as media I should be like kind of stuff, but it's kind of a big deal. I mean, this is the CEO of a massive company, and I wanted to have a photo with him. And he actually was interesting. He stopped and he chatted with me a little bit, and then he actually tapped my hat and said he liked my logo, which I thought was just a cool thing because I had actually designed that logo by myself. Excuse me. I've updated it once or twice over the years, but really hasn't changed much over the years. And it just was a really cool moment. And then the follow-up question to this, and you can take that photo down. The follow-up question to this had been from the audience, what we talked about. And I was not prepared to interview him. I could. It wasn't my thought. I just wanted the photo. We had done CBS Sunday Morning together in the way where they had shot our segment separately, so we didn't quite meet. I had seen him in Kentucky at the truck plant. I was probably 5-10 feet from him, but everybody's got like their 2 cents when asking these questions and such. And I find some of the questions, frankly, I get bored. So I just want to talk about things, and they want to know about this and trade tariffs and stuff. And yes, it's all going to happen. I'm going to flat in the news. It's going to be an issue. But he had said to me, he says, it shocked me. He actually really shocked me. He said, what do you think about the spending $2 billion to build EVs and EV trucks specifically? And I was a little bit like, taken aback, right? So, because he had asked where I was from, and I said Nebraska. And so I don't think he hears from that part of from everybody throughout the country, but I'm not sure Nebraska is really representative in the United States. Usually when I tell people from Nebraska, I do remind them we're part of the United States, and we do actually consist of one of the 50 states, and so we are part of the country, because that's usually a common misconception that Nebraska doesn't exist anymore. But he did ask me that, and I said I wouldn't spend $2 billion in an electric truck. And then he said, what about, and this is something I haven't shared anywhere actually.
Ooh, exclusive.
Yeah, he said, what about a Maverick size EV? And I said, I think it'd be perfect, except there's no margin in a smaller Maverick size EV. So Allie knows this.
That's true.
So Allie knows working dealerships. There's not much. EVs don't have much margin. And margin, if you know, is profit. And
I'm not gonna lie. EVs don't have much margin, but either do Mavericks. And putting those two together.
Yeah, you just don't. I mean, it's just a low price point. And so, if you're to go a low price point truck, and I appreciate that people don't want to have EVs, do well. They don't want to have dealerships make money, whatever. But everybody in the cycle of a vehicle being developed, produced, sold, has to make a little bit of money, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to have enough margin, or what I call profit, to go around. And I've been in different types of businesses for a year, and I said, no, it wouldn't have enough. And then he tapped my hat and said, I loved your logo. And I thought it was kind of just a cool moment. He didn't have to do that. And then so understand that CEOs have a handler, a person who works with as events. And then I did notice he had a security detail, which I thought was really fitting, not to go off topic, but with the United CEO.
Oh yeah, right now.
Right? I mean, yeah, I was,
Luckily, Ford hadn't pissed that amount of people off just yet.
right. Yeah. So he had a security. So I wasn't going to take too much from his time, but it was kind of a cool moment for me. And then one of the PR teams said I should, send him a hat, which I maybe will. I have a new hat vendor. I need to sort out. I've had some difficulty with hat vendors over the years, and I have a new one that's pretty well known. So I may send him a hat. It'd be kind of cool. I mean, I appreciate those who think it's maybe juvenile. I appreciate those who think it's maybe a little bit. I don't know, whatever word you want to throw at me. Trust me, I've been online for over a decade. I've heard everything that you can throw at me. But from somebody who had kind of a dream, started an outlet, and then started an outlet like I have, and been fairly successful, and to have a CEO of a major company that I report on often recognize that outlet and recognize and have some appreciation. I thought it was a cool thing, and so it was definitely a cool moment. I'm glad I had that time, and I told him, I said, whenever you want to talk about trucks, let me know, because he has done different podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, he's been very accessible. He's the only CEO of a major corporation that's been very, very accessible.
Well, and it's funny because his opening remarks at the Christmas event we were at, he gave a little speech, and his opening remarks was one of his things. He said, I was on this Britain podcast, and I happened to mention I was driving this Chinese EV around, and 2 hours later, it was all across national news. he goes, I've learned that I need to, not curtail what I'm trying to say, but I need to pay a little more attention, because now it's this huge thing. But I just thought it was a cool moment, and I thought it was cool that he asked me these questions, and I was pretty flattered at this event. I talked to several several Ford PR people.
Tim.
I know, wrong one. Several Ford PR people.
That's a whole nother issue.
And they were very much wanting to talk about things, and they wanted to be on. One of the people was the executive in charge of supply chain at Ford, and we were talking a little bit and having a good time talking. I'd make my jokes. I always make little jokes and things. And I said, yeah, I'd do a podcast, and a podcast video kind of with her. And they were like, wow. And one of her people who works in the office was like, yeah, we need to really do that. I said, I think that's important. I think those are the stories that you don't hear in the media that people need to know about. I remember I had a gentleman told me, he goes, it's not 2020 anymore. Supply chains orchards are done. I'm like, au contraire. There's a lot going on here. So I think that those are important stories to have conversations about. So I had a pretty good event, and now I'm. It was open bar, so I'm drinking water, by the way.
Well, next time you talk to the supply chain person, feel free to drop my name, because that's my line of work.
Okay,
I love that.
In real life, I do international logistics, so good times. Everything's fine. It's fine.
She was
great. Everything's on fire.
Yeah, she was. That was the response was, oh my gosh, I can't believe supply chain stuff. But yeah, so it was a cool event. It was cool to have that moment. I've been in media scrums where I've had Carlos Ghosn nearby, and I've had I can name drop 1,000 people, but
did he say hello, Tim?
Yeah, well, yeah,
with a D.
I don't report as a journalist. I don't feel like I report on the business side that much, right? So you get the CNBC guys, and they make more sense for me to ask those business questions. So I really don't have, and I've talked to Toyota about this stuff. They do events with CEOs all the time, and Honda and everybody else does. And I really don't have a real business need to have conversations with some of these folks. But I think Jim Farley is one of those guys that I could make a business case. And I would love to know more about Jim Farley's truck roots. You hear a lot about his amateur car racing, which is he's a pretty accessible, cool guy. He goes out there, and not every CEO can say that.
Just basically him and Toyota.
I mean, and Akio does, and so Mark Royce, the GM president, does as well. But he doesn't. I don't think Mark Royce does the same degree that Jim Farley does by any stretch of imagination. So I think it'd be cool to have an event and talk more about just trucks with him. And I know he's done some stuff with Smoking Tire podcast and things, and and maybe I float the idea, maybe I don't. Maybe it's something that is something to think about.
Oh, I would love to hear him on your show, and because you're Middle America, man, and that's the great thing, and I think why people really resonate with your channel is because you speak like a normal American. There's not that New York, that Wall Street, what they're used to, and it's not that California kind of valley. Everything's cool. Like Middle America has concerns. The EV is a major concern for them because, for one, what I'm sure in your town, there's not like charging ports are just everywhere. I know you had to put one
we
in your
got
own
two
house.
now. We have
Ooh,
two.
guys, settle down.
Slow down.
I'll tell you, I literally was going to take a photo of these things and just basically say, dear neighbors, here's what they are.
You do not hook your cow up to this.
Right. I just was thinking to myself, like, people have no freaking clue what these things are. So I just thought maybe I should do that one. But that's me being snarky.
In Nebraska, would you have to print that off on paper and deliver to your neighbors? Or
I'm pretty sure they have what's called the interweb, Kelly.
We do smoke signals.
Right. So Tim, why? I mean, obviously I know what the Christmas party, but this is your first time seeing the train station there, man. I've got to see it from the outside. I know, Allie, you've been in it and stuff. But and then
I parked in front of it.
I'm going to park at 1 o'clock, which is not.
It wasn't 1 o'clock. It was like 10:30 at night.
It's an area in change, we'll say. It's definitely they're revitalizing that neighborhood. But I got to see it twice. I saw it when I did the Maverick launch this summer. You drive right by it because it's on the corner where they did that. What is your impressions of that? Because Ford spent a ton of money.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely can see the dollar signs, right? I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's a very cool building. It's a very historic building. It's the train station that,
not the train station.
Not the Yellowstone train station.
Yeah, no, our daughter tried to use Waze to get us to the train station, and we were not going to that train station.
If you follow Yellowstone, you'll understand that joke. But no, I thought it was a very cool building. I love old buildings. And having the architecture in the building and the my God, it's like 24 foot ceilings and stuff. I mean, and it's a very open space. And Ford spent a lot of money. And it's interesting. One of my colleagues, I can't remember who it was, but one of my colleagues said, out of all the things that Bill Ford, who's this chairman of the company, I think his name is Tyler's chairman.
William the fifth or something, fourth. Something like that.
Of all the things that man can be criticized for or applauded for over the years, probably his biggest legacy is going to be the redoing the train station and giving back to the city of Detroit, which has been. I graduated high school 2 hours north of here. I mean, I've lived here throughout my life in different parts of my life for years, and Detroit has been a challenge, and it's gone through some really rough times. I mean,
the biggest thing he would be known for is if the Lions win a Super Bowl this year. I think that would outdo just by a little bit. That would outdo the train station.
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's something that speaks to Ford in that, unlike other automakers, I don't want to throw Stellantis on the bus, but I guess I will. But GM has done this a little bit over the years too. But Ford has really rooted their identity in Detroit more than the other automakers have. And I think that's a cool thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a cool thing. And they've really tried to make, Michigan people be proud. And remember when it was build Ford Tough was their thing for years. And then they were like, build Ford proud. And I think that change was really a good change. I think it.
Well, they seem to, more than anybody, they seem to be proud to be from Detroit. General Motors they're worried about global dominance. They're really not, they're a Detroit company, but they're more worried about globally. Ford seems to be first about America, and then they sort of like, okay, we'll play in the world, but we want to make sure home base is always taken care of out of all of them. And of course, Stellantis, who's in the news, you had some breaking news that I want to get to in just a second. They're, who knows now, because they're in the middle of trying to sell the old Chrysler headquarters, and who knows if that actually goes through now, because that's a whole nother mess, man. But I've been very impressed with how Ford has done. Of course, Farley, what came up from production on up, he's not like he was a guy that was just bred to be the head of a company, right? If I remember right.
Actually, it was with Toyota for a couple of years.
But he worked it's not like he was in a plant. My understanding, it wasn't like he just came from college, throw him in there.
He's I haven't really spoken to Mary Barra from General Motors. I've been within earshot of her. I've heard some conversations she's given. I did never talk to Carlos Tavares. He turned me off at some of the way conversations he had. But I feel like Jim Farley is the guy you go up a beer with.
Yes.
And I don't know that I could say that for the other CEOs. And I would include Toyota and Honda and Nissan in that as well. See, look.
Did you talk to him about Callahan brakes?
No, I didn't talk about Callahan brakes. That's a funny ass comment. No, I didn't talk about Callahan brakes with Tommy. I need to watch that movie again. So I get some time to watch. So,
put it on your to-do list.
Yeah, no, I just feel like and the thing I think with Jim that I've noticed in the last couple of years of being within proximity and today getting to meet him, which is a cool deal, is he's definitely not your typical CEO. He fits well in different places. Like he looks at home in Kentucky. He looks at home in Michigan. He looks at home in different places. Mm-hmm. And so, I have nothing against Mary Barra. I will say that the one story I heard, which I think is a really interesting story, and we have, let's see, 3 females, 2 dudes, so they'd probably appreciate this, is they, the guys told me it was just kind of awkward going to Mary Barra's house, and she'd come out and she'd bring you cookies. And you're like,
so she's mom.
CEO of General Motors, but she's still... and I'm not. I mean, dudes can do that stuff too. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not trying to be sexist at all. But I'm just saying.
Well, that was Tim with a D.
Right. But I mean, that I thought it was a really interesting point where, if you go to Mary Barra's house, she's a host. She still has that.
Yeah.
You know, want to make sure you're and I do that. I have parties all the time, and not all the time, but parties like once a year because I'm old. But I'm very much a host when I do parties. I'm very much a host as far as it. And then Dave's older than I am, by the way, just throwing it in there. But yeah, so but no, I definitely still want to be a host. I still want to. Yeah, somebody said that, and I thought it was a really interesting point. But I would love. And talking with Jim, like I said, a really cool moment. I would love to get more CEOs to have conversations that don't involve the variety of things that CNBC has. What's Jim's favorite cookie? What's Jim's favorite burger? What's his favorite beer? I mean, those are the
he did that road trip. He did the road trip into Lightning, I believe.
Right, and they showed a video of that. And I was talking to one of the team members standing in front of me, a person I've known for years. And I said that was the best thing I ever did, was him doing a road trip in an e-transit van. And he even said in the video, he goes, "This sucks." He goes, "It's not range anxiety, it's charging anxiety." And he was trying to use chargers, and they sucked. But I thought that was a really great thing for him to do. I thought it really was smart.
Well, and I think sometimes, it can get very CEOs, COOs, all the C-suite can feel very distant away from the true consumer. And I think the fact that he did that and proved, and went, hey, you know what? And I'm not afraid to say, hey, I feel like this needs to change and this needs to change. He didn't come out and say, our product is fabulous. The whole PR answer. Yeah. Because a lot of times you get the PR answer. And to your point, I think it would be very cool for you to have a sit down with a bunch of CEOs and say, hey, let's just break the mold and let's just talk about how's your day? What did you do with your family? It was really nice to show him as a person.
It was really nice to see that he finally saw what dealers were complaining about. Of what we're dealing with, whenever we talk, because we talk to we know more about the customers than I feel like Ford does sometimes.
Yeah,
because we're the ones talking to the average customer.
You're the face of that company.
He's in the heart of pretty much the U.S. where you have the average customer. It's not some big city. It's not a bunch of big wigs. It's not in the heart of New York or California or Florida, wherever. And it's nice to hear what the average person wants and needs, and the fact that he finally realized everything we were talking about for so long, and then went ahead and fixed he fixed most of it. There's still some things, but nothing's perfect. But.
Right, to have that such a close connection to be able to know that the voice is getting back. I think,
and I agree with Tim. That is something that I think should have been recorded.
Yeah, I think right now though, what the biggest thing they can fix is their stock price, because Ford's right now, I don't know why they're doing great, but their stock price right now is just not turning like it should. Tim, speaking of turning, we'll make another turn here. You had some news about former CEO coming back, man. This was I wanted to do a video on your story, but then I was like, hey Tim, come on the show so I can just ask you the questions. We know Stellantis has been in turmoil, and you were talking about the current CEO. Well, he's not current anymore. Just caused all kinds of issues. I think he was just sort of a guy that wouldn't bend. He was going to be his way or the highway, kind of like what we saw with Nissan. That was the same way with their former CEO. Was it works well in short times, but for long term, it does not work. And they let Tavares go, and now Ram finally has somebody that actually likes their trucks again.
So hold on a minute. So Chris Fuel was the former CEO of Ram and also Chrysler. And I've talked to Chris Fuel. She's a great person. She's a truck girl through and through.
Right.
A smart person. She doesn't have the really outgoing persona that Tim Kneskus has. And Chris Fuel is a great person. So I don't want to throw him under the bus at all.
No, and I'm not throwing him under the bus, but I'm saying they've gone back to what was working. Because the current CEOs of all these companies were just sort of like, hey, let's start putting in new pieces without really thinking of how people are going to react to it.
Right. There's been a lot of turmoil in Stellantis world, and there's been a lot of issues. I'll just go with issues because clearly my water's wearing off. Wearing off. There's been a lot of issues in the Mopar and Ram world, and I've talked to my friends over there to cover it quite a bit. And Tavares was hated. There's no other way to say that. Hated.
Yeah.
There was conversations tonight at the media dinner because you get 100 of us media together and we're going to talk about stuff. And this just was breaking news. I literally landed and I saw open Facebook up and boom, it was there. My friend Patrick Roll had shared it. Slaw Powers was writing out over there, and David Katz ran the story. And I guess it's been confirmed elsewhere. I didn't have time. I threw my earbuds onto the video because it's such big news. So if you know the history, Tim Kneskus was what I'm going to use a terminology that a gentleman uses. TK Garage uses on YouTube. Interesting character, but he called him Mopar Jesus, which I think is kind of an interesting way to say about him. But he was the guy that created the Hellcats and created the energy and the TRX and stuff. What I think is really interesting about the news is that we all in the media kind of made a decision at dinner and the drinks and things where clearly there was a dust up outside the hallway of Tim Kneskus' office and former CEO Stellantis office, Carlos Tavares. Clearly, he was in the job for 34 years, whatever, impromptu retired, and then left for 7 months, and now it's coming back. And incidentally, Tavares resigned under board. Basically, the board said, "Get out of here and resign." Let's see, not yesterday, Sunday, but the week before Sunday. So it's been 8 days. So in 8 days' time, a gentleman who retired at 30-some years in service is coming back in 8 days after 7 months, playing. So clearly there was something going on in the C-suite up there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot of excitement for Ram to bring a V8 back. It's a very interesting question, and it's something that I've thought a lot about, and I put it in my headline because it's something I think about quite a bit. Because I think when Toyota killed the V8 in 2022, I thought it was a mistake. I don't think that every truck buyer on the planet needs a V8. I get it. Some guys want it. Some guys want the rumble. I get it. Other people don't want it. They want smooth, quiet, powerful. I totally get that too. And there's a lot to be said for better fuel economy and a smaller engine. Yes. I think that I'm an all above kind of engine guy. I think hybrid, like in like Ford's case, for example, we talked about earlier, right? So you have a small little V6, you have a bigger V6. Okay, you have a couple choices there. You have a hybrid. Okay, you have a V8. Okay, yeah. I mean, you have a variety of things that you can. Customers come in and they can kind of pick what they want. Now Ford, like many automakers, is started to put the clamps down on what you can get, right? So you can't get a V8 throughout the F-150 lineup. It's in certain trim levels and things, and they've kind of restricted things, but not restricted things in a way, is what I want to say. So that brings back a lot of.
You covered them
up. That brings up a lot of questions about what Ram's going to do, right? So Ram has the kind of Star V6. They have the Hurricane engines. Do you go back and do a Hemi on top of the Hurricanes?
The Hurricane's a good engine, though. I mean, me and you did the video this past summer in the Ram. Which one was that? The Tungsten or whatever
The Tungsten, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, that thing would get up and go. And I think that for daily use, for people that just need a truck to every once in a while need a truck, perfect. But Dodge and Ram are known for high performance engines. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when they cut their balls, I hate to say it like that, and it didn't seem like there was a plan to do it. Like the hurricane was announced like 2 years ago or something, and there was no up to do about it. It was just like, oh, here's the engine. Suddenly they kill the Hemi, and then the Ram buyer out there, Rambro, is like, what the hell's going on, man? Like, my favorite brand is not going to offer anything but this, as people think, a weak engine, and the Hurricane is not. That high output will get up and go. So I think it's scared buyers, because sales all of a sudden are not tanking, but they were going to be number 2 at one point in sales for truck sales, and all of a sudden the brakes were put on that. Do you think that's just the Europeans? Because I've said this, I think I said it last week. The Europeans just do not understand the American audience, and when European management comes in and it's like, hey, this is how we're doing things, I think that's why certain CEOs just suddenly go, you know what? See you guys. Cool, man. Y'all live with that because we're a truck company. And now I think they probably offered him a bunch of money. Please come lend your voice. Give us the credibility we needed back for trucks. And then we'll maybe in a couple years figure out, because they're like a lot like Nissan, Tim. I've always said it. They're a company that's never super profitable. They're more of a one-track. We know what we can go this way. We can't splinter. GM and Ford can splinter, try new things like the Power Boost, which I love. You had that Power Boost. I love that truck. I think that's a great way to get people like me who's scared to get into EV. I think that's a good way to go. Look, it didn't bite me. Like it still has a gasoline. No, I mean, it sounds funny, but it's true. There is I'm 50 now. Sorry, AARP guy here.
It's true story.
I'm scared of everything. but no, there is an audience that needs to know, okay, we can do electrification. Let's ease you into it. And I think when these companies like Nissan and Ram suddenly go, nope, here's the date, hard date, we're just doing it. Suddenly their audience is like, you know what? That Ford is looking pretty good over there.
There's a lot to be said. I've heard the argument online about European managers, and there's something to be said for that. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think Tavares was off the mark on several things. I think his unwillingness to be a leader, it was the big downfall, right? So leader brings people together, has a vision, and he was pissing off the UAW, he was pissing off board members, he was pissing off plant managers, he was doing everything kind of piss everybody off, and that's just least your downfall.
I would love to have been in a room with him and Sean with the UAW.
Yeah, I would have paid money for that pay-per-view.
Because you couldn't have kept your mouth shut.
Oh, I would have on that one. I would have taped it.
I think the piece that
you would have had to.
Some people miss here is that Tim he's been gone for 7 months, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't like unaware of the hurricane coming to end. He wasn't unaware coming to an end. He wasn't unaware of the hurricane, right? So the picture behind is the Ram,
the Rev.
Yeah, I mean it's an EV. I mean, so he's not an idiot. He's not aware of the changes that happened. He understands it. I think one of Ram's biggest missteps is not so much that they killed the Hemi. I think there are the diehard customers, but you remember, we went from V6 to V8 then V6. I mean, we've kind of done this thing over the years, right? So back in the 60s, we had inline sixes. We didn't have V8s, and unless you had a big work truck, and who needed extra 2 cylinders? And we've kind of gone back and forth with the audience over the years. But I think Tim saw the writing on the wall, not U.S. EPA emissions, but global emissions. He saw the company had to change. He saw they needed to. There were some challenges there. What I think the misstep was, I think they should take a page from Ford's playbook. Right, so offer the RHO and the TRX, right? But then offer the TRX in limited quantities at a higher price point. Same idea with the Ford Raptor versus Raptor R, right? So it was funny. One of the heads of product development for Ford, he had a long ass title. He actually drove a Raptor R to the event tonight, and somebody in Valet took it for a drive, and you could see them driving around all the way around to the Valet parking lot, like the long.
Yeah.
And he was. I said, "Well, grab your Ford Pass app and see how far they drove." And he's like, "That's a good idea." So he pulls the phone out. But because you still want that excitement, you want that customer to say, "Man, I really wish they offered this Raptor in a V8." You can say, "They do. It's here. You go." And Allie, my numbers are on top of my head, but I think it's $30,000 more. Just
roughly, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you're like, we still do, and then that's what I want, $30,000 more. Oh, let me think about that.
Yeah, but you're at like.
Well,
I think you're like running price for the thing is like 109.
You're right.
Well, I just did that comparison video.
Tell them, hey, it's going to cost you, and that's, to me, that's a whole different question. You're not telling the customer you can't have that because of Biden whatever is going on in emissions world. But you're saying, yes, you can have that, but it's going to cost you more money.
Yeah.
And that question in people's minds, it changes. It rotates around. So I think one of the good things, and I did an impromptu, probably terrible quality video on this news because it was so exciting to me to hear this news, just because it's such a Tim's a cool guy, and I've been around Tim, and I again, not a person I've never met, but I need to meet him. He's a cool guy. I've been at events with him, and he loves it. He's a big persona. It's a good guy to be around. But I think that the cool thing they can do here is they can not bring back. I don't think they can bring back the V8 in the scale they had before. So I think they can offer a bighorn in a V8, and they can offer a TRX in a V8, supercharged V8. But I think the one thing that Ram was really doing well, and that Tavares killed was the Classic. Mm-hmm. The prior generation that they kept around for years, it was a lower price point, didn't have all the gadgets and stuff, the new truck. And it gave customers that thing where they can spend a little bit less money and get that truck. And that was a huge volume seller for Ram and a huge profit generator. GM's done this for years. GM's had I think they call them LTD, which is basically the prior generation.
Yeah.
Ford should do this. I don't know if Ford hasn't done this. Why they don't?
And they were doing it with the WTs too, right? The old work trucks were just old.
Right. Yeah. So and they still have the suppliers. There was still the parts. That all the tool and dyeing was paid for. All the R&D was paid for. Supply chain was all there. Is all done. And you just build more and it keeps the volume up, keeps profit up, and then they killed the new 25 Ram 1500, which they could have still offered the Hemi in the prior generation, or offer the 3.6 liter Pentastar. People like the Pentastar. There's no argument there.
Yeah,
and I think you're going to see Ram could do what Ford did. So Ford offers the V8. And Ali argues me, back me up, whatever on this, but the XL, XLT, and like Lariat, and then as you get higher trim levels like Platinum and the other trim levels, they offer the high output EcoBoost only. Mm-hmm. So Ford's not saying you can't get it. They're just manipulating the numbers better. So corporate average fuel economy. That's what CAFE stands for. Corporate average fuel economy throughout your entire lineup. And so what Ford's done, and what GM has done a little bit as well with the 5.3 liter V8 and 6.2 liter V8 is that they've restricted the amount you can get higher trim levels and things and mess around with these numbers a little bit, so that their average is still better emissions. Yeah, they still offer this one over here, but their overall volume sellers still are lower emissions. So one of the biggest volume sellers for General Motors is the 2.7 liter. It's at the inline 4 V6. So Ford does the V6, GM does the inline.
They do a 2.7 4-cylinder.
Right, they do. Yeah, I just got it in my mind. I keep it straight because they each do the 2.7, but they're different cylinders. Yeah. So one of GM's volume sellers is a smaller engine. That doesn't mean that the enthusiast guy can't get a V8 in the Chevy or GMC or Ford. They can, but it's not the volume seller it used to be. And Ford and GM have done a good job over the years of artificially restricting supply. Yeah. And I think for consumers, they could say, well, God, I wish I could get that Platinum F-150 V8. But they're okay because they understand the higher output engine, they understand the premium engine, they understand the stuff. And I think consumers are overall okay with that because they still have a choice. It may not be the choice they wanted, but they still have a choice. I think whenever you say to consumers, you can't have this, 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 you just put that line in the sand, you can't have it, done. I think the initial pushback is going to be negative because you didn't give them the power of choice.
Well, they've set themselves up, Tim, because I did a comparison video of the RHO versus the outgoing TRX, and I even thought this. I don't recall saying it in the video, but I was thinking this at the time of they've really set themselves up. Now they have a true Raptor competitor in the RHO. They really do. Price point to price point, they're pretty close. Horsepower, right now you got to lend it to Ram. They're gonna, and Ford's gonna, they're gonna come out with something more powerful. Sure. Yeah. But they've had a good horsepower battle with these high-powered V8s. What I call super trucks is what they are. You get $100,000 for a truck, you're at a different price point. But like you were saying, they could really maybe they could play this off of hey, no, we've been planning the Super Hemi for a long time. We just didn't want to tell you about it. And whether they did or not, they're in a perfect point to go. We got EV coming. We've got this. It's not really fuel efficient straight six, but it's a pretty powerful engine. common use. Once again, it's a good daily use
better
engine, and then the high horsepower.
It's not amazing,
Yeah. But clearly the guy in front of us here is the key to all that. And I think he's, you'd mentioned, hey, he's a big personality. That's something that Ram and including Jeep have always had. They've always had big personalities kind of leading the way, and they've had employees had nobody to look up to right now. And I did a video on this when the CEO resigned. I was like, the problem with this company as a whole is there's nobody to look up to. And I think what they're doing now of like, let's put the pieces back in order. Because morale right now at the Jeep plant, I know, is at an all-time low. Those people are scared for their jobs. Gladiator, what's going on there? Wrangler sales aren't what they used to be. Now it's due for a refresh, and you've got Bronco picking at it, and you also now have Land Cruiser picking at sales at that thing. And then Ineos, I don't really think is a competitor just yet, but there's a lot that they do. There's competitors now, and it's a lot like the early 90s when Jeep was kind of coming into their own with the Wrangler. There was all these competitors. You had Isuzu with the Amigo, you had Suzuki doing stuff, you had the Geo stuff, and now this poor company's being attacked. Their base, their bread and butter of off-road vehicles, they're being attacked. So having someone like this, and do you think that we see with Jeep? Do you think we see the former CEO going, I'll give it another year. Let me let's straighten this. I don't want to leave my company on a sour note. Let me bring it back to its glory.
I just want to know, is there anything that you like that's mainstream, or just like the weirdo stuff? Because
I love
Amigo,
except for me. Except for me, he likes all the weird stuff.
I just don't understand. Like, your references are always like,
oh no, the Isuzu Amigo was one of the best
thing, the lowest volume thing. I'm gonna make it.
He owned a Juke and he had it tuned.
I know. I made fun of him that Juke for periods of time.
No, since I've known Tim, he goes, "Why did you buy that thing?"
I don't know.
But do you think
he made 17 videos in a Canoo that's not going down the river anymore?
Well,
somebody's gonna grab that ass thing and talk the ugly thing.
Allie before the show goes, "What's a Canoo?"
You're right, because nobody in America knows it's
literally haven't even heard of it. I'm just like, cool.
Well, that's the problem.
Here goes Dave, you're number 17 in the Canoo. Nobody's heard of.
Yeah. So Tim, I know you're getting to see some
on the comments about Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
I do know that Jim Morrison has been in contact with some of my friends in the media. He's been asking some different questions about different companies. I know there's some openings in automotive that he has put his thought about applying for. I don't know if he has applied. I haven't talked to Jim since he departed. In fact, Jim and Tim are like some of my favorite automotive guys. They're just the guys you have to bar with and you have a great time with.
Well, could you imagine GM plucking him? Because he knows how the off-road world operates, and that's GM's. That's their one downfall right now is they rely on companies like AEV and all these to kind of make them seem legitimate, but they're not. But can you imagine them plucking the guy that knows how to do off-road vehicles?
I can't. I can't.
And working out with it.
And I mean, my dad was a GM retiree, and I'm a big fan of GM. I can't. The company's focus has been so EV focused for a couple of years. I've kind of felt like at times I've been left out because I'm not thinking their latest lineup of EVs has been world beaters. I like them. Hummer's great. Hummer's a fun toy, but it's a toy. It's not a vehicle, in my opinion.
I wouldn't take that thing off-roading. I really wouldn't.
I saw one on the street today, and who I saw driving it, I was like, I'm kind of surprised. Like, it was like a soccer mom, and she was toting her kids around. Like, I was just surprised.
The thing is, there's nothing wrong with the Hummer. The Hummer is a great vehicle toy. I don't
run people over in traffic.
Yeah, no, I mean,
well, trust me, I was paying attention to how fast she was going, so she didn't kill me.
I'm sorry.
I think.
So I'm looking up Canoo because I don't know anything about this.
We'll get there when Tim's gone.
This thing is ugly.
Whoa!
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Don't skip ahead, Allie. Don't skip ahead.
All right.
Don't jump.
Yeah, you can talk about Canoo. So let me just again.
Tim doesn't want any part of that.
It's freaking 9:40 at night. I was up at whatever. I'm an old man.
It's not 9:40 in Tennessee. I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I think these last years were in Nebraska. It's 7:40 there.
I was gonna say, but you've been up.
I've been up.
Well, any final thoughts with all this? Obviously, I put the link to your website on this.
Yeah,
you should go read that.
No, I think there's an interesting conversation happened with Jim Morrison coming back. I think Tavares was a big personality, and he pushed other personalities out. And I think Stellantis has been based on personalities. You look at Ford, and Ford's really about Jim Farley. He's a big personality. And Mary Barra is a big personality at GM. So is Mark Royce. And I don't know in a company how many alphas you can have. I think that there's a challenge with that. I think that the prior Stellantis and FCA and stuff, I think they worked well because the CEO was kind of just in the background, and he let the leaders be the leaders. And I would love to see Jim Morrison come back. Jim was a great guy.
The doors were awesome, man. I love the doors.
Yeah, I've had great conversations with him. We've done really cool events with him. I miss the days when automakers spent money on some cool programs, and we had some good fun. I mean, we had some cool events, and customers look at that and go, I want to do that too. I remember doing we were in Montreal at a iCar off-road facility, and it was winter, so the track was frozen. And Jim Morrison and I are standing like side by side, and it turns out right across the street was an experimental aircraft taking off on a experimental runway and doing full like G pulls into the wind at 40, 50 miles an hour, and trying to figure out how far the aircraft could bend to get through the wind and come around. And getting behind the wheel with Jim in like a Jeep Compass of all things, and going, this is a Jeep, it's trail rated. I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's going up and down tabletops that are iced over and climbing over stuff because he wants to prove that the Jeep can do it. So I think if you have that, if you have that persona, I think the brand needs that. I think, and I especially think in today's day and age with social media and what we're doing all here, we're all sitting there, and Jess is adding all her 2 cents, but we're all here having good conversations.
Not my part yet.
No, but I mean, this is what sells vehicles. I think people want to talk to people about buying vehicles, and no matter what the commercials are, because people have so many ad blockers now where they pay the YouTube premium and they pay this and they don't see commercials. I think this real talk really sells vehicles, and I think having that person, and having the stories I tell. My kids are always laughing at me because they don't care about the car reviews. They love the stories I tell at the events I've been and things. It's those little moments that really hit home for me. I told a bunch of power boost stories tonight because that truck saved my butt a dozen times with the power on board and the zone. And I told some of the people there, I said, zone lighting is something you guys don't talk about enough, and you need to do better job of that.
Need to sell that definitely more.
And I think that is something that customers should know about, because I freaking love zone lighting. I think and the thing with zone lighting is it's so stupid. It's a software thing. That's all it is. The light's already there. Just make it, and it's on your app. And if you don't know what zone lighting is, you need to really know what zone lighting is. It's impressive. It's incredible. Well, and I think other brands are starting to get involved in that. Like Toyota has started doing some stuff with their aftermarket, which they've needed to for years. They've owned the aftermarket for years, and you got to do that. I think Ford's experiencing the Bronco, and I think that is going to be the future moving forward. Yeah, YouTube subscription.
I'm a subscriber. I pay for it.
Dave's a premium. I was going to say, Tim, is that I think to your point, telling the stories of how the vehicles have saved your butt, or you've used them in unique situations that could also benefit other people and things. I definitely feel like that resonates, because I still remember you being out of power in Nebraska and being able to use your truck to do things to help your family survive through that electricity outage.
Well, they don't even practice the whole camping aspect of that. I know you hooked it up to a travel trailer one time, and it powered
the campground lost power. We used the truck to power the camper. I mean,
it's just crazy.
Yeah,
generator.
I think those are the stories as part of the media that I want to tell.
Mm-hmm.
I think those stories that brands have a problem telling because they're not used to telling those stories.
Yeah.
And I think
Tim, sorry, go ahead. I just want you to know I didn't turn off ad blocker for your website, sir. I'm the one guy. I'm keeping your channel afloat.
Oh gosh.
Monetization wise, I'm playing.
Right.
Tim, I know you were tired, buddy, and you were going to do 10 minutes and somehow did 45. So.
And it's not our fault you did 45, just so you know.
Yeah.
I know. I get yakking.
Guys, Tim with Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk. Definitely, he's been a great mentor to the channel here, and I like to read his news articles. And he has a good forum. Tim,
yes.
How do they get to your forum?
So
you what?
I'm not gonna lie, I love your page. So
oh, thanks.
And Tim, how do they get to your forum?
Forum.pickuptrucktalk.com, and I'm going to do an end of the year thing for the channel because I think those are interesting as well. I've been seeing a few of those. Something you may think about doing, Dave, as well. And I want to talk more about the forum. It's when I do the end of the year because there's been some things on there that have been really great. And we don't have 1,000 members. We only have a couple hundred, but I think the value they bring is exceptional.
Yeah, and there's ad revenue there. So there's extra value. Yeah, I'm playing.
Why you gotta go there, Dave? Just let him have the community.
Because he was talking about people turning the ad blocker off. Hey, and Tim, one quick question. You know what does sell on YouTube though? Negativity, sir. So maybe if you just take your channel and walk through a car lot and just start talking about how the world's going to end.
No,
Tim's like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I can't stand stuff.
I know. Well, thank you, Tim. Thanks for coming on,
right,
and thanks for sharing your audience with us, buddy.
All right, thanks, buddies. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, there was Mr. Esterdahl.
Oh my gosh, you're terrible.
Look at that. I'll learn to say it right. But no, Tim's amazing. I've known Tim since he had, I think, around less than 5,000 subscribers on his channel. He's well over 100,000. Tim's killing it out there, and Tim's with people that
I don't hate him, but my face definitely tells my.
No, she keeps me straight. If you're watching from Tim's channel,
yeah,
Kelly is she likes to. We used to have a desk where she could kick me when I was out of line.
Oh, I was just gonna tell them.
And notice there's no desk anymore.
Yeah, so he's made sure that there's a distance so I can't.
Well, I got tired in the summer going to work and wearing shorts, and there was bruises,
having all the bruises all over.
And I had to explain, my wife does not beat me. I swear, she does not beat me.
If you're new to the channel, please don't. Don't abuse him that badly.
No, it's all good. But no, but seriously, Tim's been a big help to the channel, and I like seeing good people, succeed, and we're riding his coattails a little bit. We'll do that just a little bit.
He's been a great mentor for us, for sure.
And we haven't done a press trip with him in a
while. We did Texas.
Yeah, that's true. This fall. So I want to get in. I'm saving the best for last because Ranty Dave's coming out with some negativity that I've seen on YouTube. But Allie, this is what Canoo is. I want to get in this. I dropped a video. I've been covering this car since 19.
That's 2019.
Yeah, and I've been watching this because I told
not the 1900s.
Yeah,
exactly.
Back in my day,
Hey.
I told Kelly at one point, I was like, I kind of would like to have one of these in the driveway. They're weird. And like Tim said, I'm drawn to weird looking vehicles, but it was a startup, and I was like, you know what? It's only $100, but I'd rather keep that $100 to see if they actually do anything. And they've had like 3 or 4 CEOs within that time. Like it's been a company of begging for investors. But I did a video on this yesterday of kind of the company. It's done. Like what happens to a lot of startups, they start up and they don't start up. They don't idle.
Sorry.
They don't put all the horsepower down. And I'm sad to say this company looks like it's dead because the stock. Remember, I was buying some of the stock.
He actually bought the stock, and I said, "Why are you buying this ugly thing of stock? I don't think it's ever going to make." And he's like, "It might."
It was cheap enough that it didn't. Like we could take a chance on it. You could buy a few thousand shares, and
he was hoping it would be the next Bitcoin.
Yeah, or Tesla, a little bit. And there's potential still here, and I think somebody might swipe them up. But as of today, it was under 30 cents, I think, a share.
Ouch.
And they did the reverse split where they start buying back their shares and to stay on the stock market, which brought it up to over $5 a share. And that was in January.
You should have sold.
Well, I didn't know. We got rid of this a long time ago. But yeah, they're looking to be dead, man. And what sucks and you guys don't follow this, but what sucks is they've done all this stuff. They have a plant in Oklahoma, which is the weirdest place to put it.
Somebody said Northwest Arkansas.
Well, that's where their headquarters is. They're all over the map, but I thought it was interesting because they're going to be right where 40 is. Okay. So they can ship vehicles. It's a pretty smart place to be.
And they're creating jobs.
Yeah. In an area that doesn't have auto manufacturing. So they were ramping up and they laid off 28, I believe, % of their staff this past week, which you would think 28% sounds like, holy shit, that's a massive amount of people they just laid off.
But it probably wasn't.
It was 30 people.
Wow.
So, but
still, that's a big impact.
And I said in the video, and they were labor. That was their labor. And somebody came out in the labor and said, we actually hadn't built anything that went out the door yet. And these people have been hired on for almost a year.
So they've been all in R&D trying to get it.
Yeah, just trying to get everything out. But it's a quirky company, man, and it bums me out because I like to see people
quirky company. Look at the car.
Oh, I know. but they had shifted. So they were going to sell to people like me and you, and suddenly they needed that big money. So they went with
corporate money.
Yeah.
They went to NASA.
Well, that and Walmart. NASA was a play on recognition, but Walmart said, hey, we're going to buy 4,500 of these things. Because Walmart does the deliveries.
Yep.
You would know.
Yeah, but they use drones.
Not in our area.
Well, this might fly, Allie. This might fly. Come on now.
They don't use drones in our area, not in our neck of the woods.
Nah, we'll shoot them down. We're rednecks here. But
I'm not going to lie, same.
Right?
But and
what is Zeba?
It's you can lease vehicles, if I remember right. Yeah, it's I think it's where if you're a fleet manager and you need to lease, say you're working in an area for 6 months, you need to lease vehicles, they hook you up.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they haven't produced any of these damn things, and it's kind of sad to me. This past year, I was making fun of them because they tried to do a truck. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Well, which is unfortunate because if they've got these agreements, then they've got the potential to take off.
Well, like UPS and even Amazon and stuff, when they don't need the big trucks, this might have been a perfect hauler for them. But unfortunately,
but now Amazon has outsourced that to
Rivian.
Well, not just that. They've outsourced that to if they need extra help, DoorDash people essentially are doing it now. So you don't even know who's delivering your stuff to your house.
But ideally, this is what I was drawn to.
Oh my gosh, it's so ugly.
Well, it's quirky. It's weird. But ideally, that's what I was drawn to. But it's like a Lego set, Jess. Mark would love this thing. In the back of it, you can snap all these features together.
It looks like the K truck that you want.
Yes, thank you. I was like, it's one of those little trucks.
Thingies. Yes, it's the thingy he wants.
Yeah. Scout is owned by a Volkswagen, so there's no even.
So they're doing just fine.
Volkswagen is a little iffy right now. They're not going out of business, but
Scout will probably help them with that.
Yeah, and the Volkswagen dealers want to sell a truck, so they're even though Scout's trying to be direct sales, they'll use the dealerships to service them.
Well, and Rob made a good point that it's basically in Walmart's backyard. So Walmart deal would have made
that's why they moved. That's why they moved.
Bentonville.
But that's why they moved to that area, was because like a lot of manufacturers, they want to put some sub headquarters around there because they deal with them.
Yeah.
But I thought this might be fun. But you know what the killer of all this is? And since 1920s, when they kind of like took deposits, the range was going to be 230 miles. In 20, they were like, okay, that's not bad. But now, if you're not reaching 350 to 400 mile range, forget it. And they've never improved what they said the range was going to be in this thing.
Well, the downside of this thing is
I'm not going to lie. I totally just heard that wrong.
I don't even know what
Allie, this is a family show. Thank you.
I thought you said in the 1920s they started taking deposits.
Hey, they made electric vehicles.
I'm like, wait, I know I'm not really good at math, but I'm like, that doesn't add up.
I don't know when he started saying back in 20. Like,
look, Kelly.
20. He's 50 now, Kelly.
I was going to say it's the 50-year-old in him that's coming out. Back in 20.
Huh?
Oh,
Dang. It totally looks like a Lego truck that someone put together wrong. Like they have the pieces in the wrong places.
And that's what I say about the Cybertruck, right? So it's kind of the same idea.
Well, no, the Cybertruck's a whole
we're trying to span out.
Yeah, the Cybertruck's a whole different disaster.
Yeah.
I compare the Cybertruck to the little Matchbox cars like the Boy Scouts have to do and like race them. I'm like it's like one of those that went really wrong.
Yeah. So Neil, the range was supposed to be 230, and they were supposed to be $38,000 to $45,000 somewhere starting out. Though that was like, 2 presidents ago. So the economy's gone to just complete.
I think that's what we're getting back.
Well, who knows on that?
Look, we're not going to talk. We don't talk about that here.
Yeah, we don't. We that's Political Nation. That's my other channel.
No, it's not. There's no other channel for that.
No.
Kelly's like, nope, delete.
Anyway, sorry. I'll keep my mouth shut. Go ahead.
Boop.
Are you really booping me?
I just booped you. I can't kick you anymore, so I'm gonna boop you.
But if you guys would go over after this, go over and watch that video, man. Usually the Canoo videos do pretty well because there was interest in this thing. And EV buyers they don't want the standard looking normal thing. I think that's why, I mean, yes, the F-150 Lightning, they tried to make it look like a standard truck. But if you look at Rivian, they blended future with kind of a normal shape. But I mean, obviously this thing's for, people like me, weirdos like me. But
you know what it looks like?
what are we going to have a roast here of Canoo?
I want to know what this pizza thing is down here.
And then we can pivot. It looks like the Pontiac van from the 90s.
Look,
the Aztec.
Y'all know what I'm talking about. The
Aztec.
One. Yes, the Aztec. That's it.
No, that's what the Cybertruck looks like.
No, not the Aztec. The van
that had that pointy nose.
Yes, that had the pointy nose in the front.
The GM made everything, a Buick and everything.
Yes, and it was like the first van that had 2-door option, like in the back seat. Like it wasn't just the one side. Like you had the option to have 4 doors on your van. That one.
You know what in a van happens?
No, sir.
What? You take your children to soccer practice.
That's it. Yep.
Jeez, that's the only thing you do in a van. God, I grew up in the 80s. We had different vans for that.
Oh gosh.
Guys, go watch go watch that video for me. I would have greatly appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to smash the like button for us on this video and any that you do. And if you haven't yet, smash the subscribe button for us. Like Tim, every subscriber matters, and that's how you get recognized by CEOs of Ford. Is you get a fancy hat, which we don't have right now,
and how you get to go to media.
Yeah. We just got a fancy sign right now. We didn't get the hat.
Yeah.
Do I carry that around with me and just like
no?
Like it's what was the dude from Public Enemy? Flavor Flav. I'll wear it around at Precedent.
It's Flava, not flavor.
Sorry, I'm not from
Flavor once you're 50.
That's it.
I love you, Dave.
But speaking of 50, in the comments, there were many people saying you did not look 50.
Yeah, I saw that.
Shocked.
They were like, geez, you're more like 60 right now.
Dang.
They said they thought you were in your 40s.
Well,
let's not ask how old I am. Shh.
Can I?
Nope.
I better check. We've been married for a while. How old? You're 7 years younger than me.
I was going to say, take your age and subtract 7.
That's right.
Younger than me.
Huh?
You're younger than me.
Only a little bit, though.
All right.
Whatever. It's enough.
That's right. So one of the main we got 2 main topics tonight, and I'm going to save the negativity for last. But Jess, you were looking into how manufacturers treat customers a little bit, weren't you?
Was I?
I believe you. This was your topic. This was not mine.
You did a report.
When did you work? Well, I mean, this was just, I think last night or the night before, I saw a Ram commercial. And we have a fun little running joke at our house. Anytime we talk about Rams, we have to say Ram like that. Yeah, because they're sheep. Just saying. Nothing against Ram. But it was, I don't think it was a commercial for the 1500. It was some truck commercial. And I noticed that they were offering, direct discounts to current Ford owners. And it caught my eye. And I know this is probably not a new topic for anybody else. Maybe just me, because I am crazy brand loyal. And I kind of tilted my head up the TV and I was like, wait, what? That seems shady. So I started digging into these things that's called, Conquest incentives. That's actually what they're calling them. Like, they're winning customers. Come to find out, everybody does it.
Yep.
It's wild.
Even telecommunications companies do it. Because we did it for years.
You have that thing, you trade in your Sprint phone and get a free T-Mobile phone. Mm-hmm. And, I didn't think about all that happens. And I get it. Like, there's competition. But to, like, flat out call somebody out, I was like, wait, this is wild. So I started digging into it, and kind of, like I said, found out everybody did it. And I'll put out the caveat that, I feel like this type of incentive is geared towards the customer that is exactly me, because I am super brand loyal. I don't look outside of anywhere else when I'm shopping for vehicles. I usually know exactly what I want. I go to the Ford dealership and I get it. So, I have some other incentives behind me, like a dad that retired from Ford Motor Company. So for not only heart, but my wallet, I kind of stick with Ford. But reading about all the other options that are out there and all the other companies that are doing this, I was really surprised that there's it's like a myriad of different ways. Like some of the dealerships are going to offer specifically like Ram, you have a Ford, come tell us you have a Ford and buy a Ram, we'll give you a discount. And you don't have to trade in your Ford. You just have to prove that you own one and they'll give you $2,000 off.
Is that just like a picture of one? Can I just take, hey, here's a picture?
No, there's actually it's very specific.
So we need to show a contract or a title or registration does not work anymore. Wonder why. Not going to get into that. But I will say, counter to what you're saying, Jess, it's not that Ford doesn't care. Because whenever Ford does these, like when you have a Ram, when you have a Jeep, when you have a Chevy, typically if you're coming out of a lease, and this isn't red carpet lease renewal, this is nothing like that. If you've been in the market for like 3 to 4 months, Ford passes out certificates that sometimes the customer knows about it, sometimes the customer doesn't know about it. So like when I got my Bronco, I had a $2,000 certificate to like stack on top that I could use on a lease or a purchase. Didn't matter. Because they knew I was going to be in the market because my lease was coming to an end and I was going to have to do something. But whenever they have a lot of these Conquest ones, like typically, not everyone gets them, unfortunately, but a mass majority of people do. And it's totally random when Ford sends these out. But the most I've seen that I've had like 4 customers have in the last like 2 to 3 weeks is like $4,000 that they had no idea. It's just tied to your address.
So specifically, but that's for if you're a current leaseholder or
just in the market. Like you've been shopping, like you've stopped at the dealer a couple of times. You haven't pulled the trigger on something. Ford will do that to try and lure you in.
Yeah. Well, and I think, because on some of the research that I've done, it's kind of what it all adds up to, right? Is there's got to be a number somewhere where they say like, hey, this is how much we're able to discount. And then it sort of is up to the dealer to see if they want to sell those discounts or not. Because I've never walked into a dealership and someone immediately said, hey, if you own a Jeep, we're going to give you, some X amount of dollars off. I'm sorry if you can hear the dogs barking.
It's okay.
We all have
Mr.
dogs.
TV just got home from work. But so, like here, Dave, you have, the Ford one pulled up, which is, specific, like, hey, if you own this vehicle, you can get a discount on this vehicle.
$2,000 on Ram Conquest cash.
Yeah.
Right. So Ford's also, targeting Toyota owners as a whole, Jeep owners for Broncos specifically. Ram is saying if you own any kind of Ford, we're going to give you a discount. So there's a handful of them. One of them I found was interesting was Mini. I don't know if anybody out there has a Mini. I think the Countrymans are so cute. I like to call them Super Coopers. But so that's $500 for if you pretty much own any other vehicle and come buy a Mini. And it's interesting. There's some more with Honda specifically for the Accords and Passports for non-Honda owners. Mazda's offering $1,000 off if you don't already own a Mazda on some of their CX lines, like their gas and hybrids. And there's a lot of push, on those hybrids and those EVs. Like Kia is specifically targeting Tesla owners, saying, "Hey, you can have $1,500 off if you tell us you already own a Tesla." See?
Yeah. So if you think about it from a marketing perspective, so in my former world, we had switch offers and they were really, really good switch offers. They were like, hey, bring the old phone in and we don't care what you owe on it. We're going to pay it off for you. And we're going to give you a new phone on our side, because the theory there is like, you're a brand loyal to Ford right now. If we get you to switch, you might be a brand loyal customer for X amount of years that you were going to stay with Ford. So there's definitely some marketing of that. And it's also so that they can look better in their next quarter to say, ooh, we sold X amount of more products than Ford did, or what we did compared to what we did with Ford the last quarter, or whatever the case may be.
All the 25s are out.
Yeah,
Oh, there's a bunch of 25s out. I found all sorts of car stuff today.
We still have to get rid of a lot of 24s. Let's just not talk about that yet.
Hey, I saw today there were some Ford dealers with 23 Raptors still, and I don't mean like one. I mean multiple.
Wow.
I read that there's still a bunch of Rams and Wranglers sitting on lots from 23.
Oh yeah.
They're struggling.
When I have more notes. So one of the big ones I saw was Cadillac, pushing their EV like $3,000 if you pick up their Lyric. And like I said, some of them are specific for, if you have this vehicle, we're going to give you a discount on this vehicle. And some of them are like, if you don't already own a Mazda, we'll give you some more off. So the other one I found was Polestar. I don't know what Polestar is.
Oh, it was Volvo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's their EV.
Hi.
It's not just Jess anymore.
Wait.
It's not just Jess anymore. Hi, Mark.
Now I gotta change it.
Hi.
There's another chair over there if you want to come hang out.
Mark's like, I don't want to
Mark's
talk.
like, I've been standing all day.
He just came from your side of the state too.
Oh, bless.
I had to go to Franklin tonight. So.
Ugh. Hello.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Left for work at 6 o'clock this morning and just got home. So, yeah.
Bless. Well, we're glad to see you and your beard, but feel free to go lay down and go to sleep. Because
I have to go up at 3:30 in the morning. So,
I did not just call Jess his beard.
Jeez.
God,
I deal with mine. He deals with his.
See, there you go.
All right. Good to see everybody. I'll see you later.
Hey, Mark.
Wait, come back.
This weekend, first, really quick, we got to brag. This weekend, we're all going to be at Nolensville
Mill Creek
Brewery.
Mill
That's
Creek
right.
Brewing.
Are you both bringing both Broncos or just one?
Did you read my shirt? It says, "Do you think my Bronco misses me too?" Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, did you get one back?
No.
So there you go. So that
the
answers
shop,
that question. But that's okay. That means you can drink another beer.
Well, see, and that's the other question. How much do I want to drink?
You
not
want
as
to
much
drink
as last year.
As much as last year.
Not
one
as much as last
Bronco's
year.
worth.
But we'll be at a toy drive at Mill Creek Brewery in Nolensville, Tennessee this Saturday.
If anybody's in the area,
noon-ish somewhere.
I think it's 1 to 5.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna try to get there a little early because I love their brews are pretty freaking good.
And
but bring a toy. That's all they ask. They give you a ticket for beer. It's not like you sort of get
Food's
some
really
money
good.
back. Yeah. Yeah, and then come hang out with us. It'll be a lot of fun. Sorry, Mark. I wanted to get you in there on that real quick.
No, you're good, brother. You're good.
All right, go eat. Enjoy your downtime, buddy.
All right, I'll see you later.
Appreciate you. See you.
Yeah.
I miss you.
Allie, in your area is Conquest a big thing? Because I would assume people are pretty loyal there.
I mean, it's still a thing. I mean, you have to make a really good deal because being in the heart of Ford country and Chevy country and Ram, like you have your diehard. Like there's diehard for football teams. There's diehard for like car brands. It's insane.
I don't even live there anymore.
I'm sorry, Lions better go to the Super Bowl. That's all.
It's wild.
We might need a Cooper in the driveway.
I was looking at this. Is for me a vehicle? Yes. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, we're just gonna start car shopping while y'all are talking. Go ahead.
I mean, I got a bunch of it all pulled up already, Dave. If you want me to do the hard work.
1.9 APR.
Right? It's crazy. Go look at the Mazda one.
Well, so
we're up to 48 months.
But I know they were doing like a 1 or 2 year lease for like some like weird $30-$40. TFL was talking about the other day. One of their people leased one for like $30 a month or something. It's something stupid.
And no payments for the first 90 days.
Sold. See y'all later. Y'all do the show. We'll be right back.
That's okay. I just ran a lease on a Mach-E today.
Yeah, how's that running?
Oh my god, they're so dumb.
So dumb,
Like,
cheap.
Yeah, like the cheapest thing that we've seen lately. So I ran like a $64,000 X plan, like a true zero. So like literally not paying like anything out of pocket, and it was like high fives, I think. That's a GT. That's a GT.
Not that kind of high five.
No, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
shit. I'm like, yeah, I can't get a premium to save like my life. So
You would have to get a 4-door, sir. Don't even be looking at 2
No,
doors.
we're not getting no 4-door.
Stop
Have you
shopping.
seen your daughter downstairs?
That's her problem.
She's almost as tall as we are now. She will not fit in the back.
well,
seat
now y'all
of
are
a
at
2-door.
Marital Nation.
Yep, sorry, you can snip that from Marital Nation.
In a
Right.
Super Cooper.
And
So,
he's looking at 2 doors.
no, you got to look at the Countryman, man. You
No,
can't.
no. I want a
softball
true
bag in
mini.
there.
I want a mini.
Oh, that's
Anyway,
true.
anyways, we're digressing.
Anyway, so a handful of other points on this. First of all, again, it's not anything new. I found advertisements back from 2019, and I'm sure that people have been doing this forever. But it was just to me, and I thought I would share to everybody else.
I will say, like 2020, 21, Ford did not do Conquest.
Yeah,
Well, they probably didn't have to,
especially
right?
Especially
They didn't have cars.
They didn't have
through
inventory.
the pandemic, Ford took care of their own. Like, we had like Chevy people trying to come to Ford, and they just were not willing to pay those prices.
Mhm.
Which, I mean, I wouldn't either. Like, looking at some of these things, like, I'm a salesperson, but like, you really had to sell the crap out of that car of like why that Chevy was a piece of crap, and like why they didn't need it, because like prices were stupid high.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And one of the things I saw is, like these auto manufacturers aren't forgetting their current clients. So there's all these Conquests deals out there, trade-ins, switcheroos, whatever you want to call them.
Mhm.
There's also tons of incentives for current, returning customers. Those, they can't be stacked because you can't not have the car and be a returning customer.
Right.
But there's other incentives that are being offered too. Just regular old, every day you get 2,000, bonus bucks back, or whoever it is. But there's additional discounts that are being offered for students and militaries and first responders and all sorts of stuff. And a lot of these dealerships will stack those, which is cool. And all this information I've found on manufacturers' websites. So like, if people are really shopping for vehicles, like, before you go hit the pavement in a dealership, take some time, dig into it. If you're looking for price and kind of what you want, see what's out there, see what you can get. Because and no offense, Allie, don't get mad when I say this, when you walk into that dealership, someone might not be able to tell you all the things that are available or all the things you can mix together. Mm-hmm. They might not know that you're in college and also served in the military and you've never owned a Mazda before, and now you can have all these discounts. So
if they're with a bad salesperson, they will not tell you.
Right. Allie will definitely tell you all those things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm the person who tells you too much.
That's why we love you.
Or upsells you into a performance package.
It was an accurate upsell, though.
I'm not fussing.
All the stickers.
It literally went, hey, since you're getting this plan, do you guys want to get this? Because you're still underspending what you wanted.
Too funny.
That's
so
subjective.
Oops.
Instead of Googling around and looking at like every manufacturer's website, I did find that the Edmunds website actually sort of had these summarized. So if you know like the vehicle that you're looking for, like I pulled up a couple of the ones that I looked at. There's a spot on there where you can find the deals and incentives, and they kind of outline them all there for you.
Nice.
I definitely go to the dealer websites and look at that tiny print, because it does vary by, location and how old your vehicle is. And again, you don't have to trade them in usually, but yeah, it's cool. Like, there's a lot of money to be had out there. And I thought it was interesting. So I just wanted to share.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you did all that research, because I did not have the capacity to do all said research, because I was driving all over Kentucky and northern Tennessee yesterday. So there was not the capacity there at all.
Well, I came up with, the third topic. And I'm like, I guess I got to do it now. James put me to work.
Like, tag, you're it. Right?
Well, we're trying to class this joint up a little bit.
Trying.
So, I mean, that is interesting to me. You see the commercials every once in a while on TV, like I don't see the auto commercials that I used to, which is weird. Of course, I guess we don't have TV.
We stream.
TV. Yeah, so we don't see a lot.
But
I remember as a kid always seeing those, hey, if you're a Silverado guy, come, we're going to offer. But I'll be honest, a couple $1,000s anymore is not enough for me to go, you know what? I'm going to make the switch. Because the cars are all $50,000-$60,000 now. So that's not even a
$50,000
but it's not even going to offset taxes much.
Well, and especially if you're already a brand loyal person, which we've learned jumping from vehicles when like some of the days when we are at press trips and we have 7 cars we're going to get in that day, the adjustment that it takes to jump from one manufacturer to another and be able to talk about the differences and things like that and not be super overwhelmed, because sometimes it's a lot. And you've grown accustomed to the Ford, the Sync. You've grown accustomed to that. So I know I don't want to relearn an entire new infotainment system because, for one, working from home, I don't drive my car as much. So I don't get that hands-on like I would if I was going daily, going to work and things like that, getting adjusted. So when I get in my car and we go on a trip, I want to be comfortable and know what I'm going to do to use that car. And so to switch infotainment systems and all those other things, there's a lot that goes into switching cars, and that sounds kind of bougie, but it's the things that you kind of get used to, those creature comforts.
I'm not going to lie, when I have to take a lease back to another dealer just to like drop it off because like we termed it for them, I live in a pretty like a big area, but a small area to where like we have a lot of the dealers around us that we can just drop it and leave it. Within that 15 to 20 minutes, I'm usually punching my fists through the screen because I don't understand it. And that's why like I love Fords, because it's like easy to understand. Yeah. I'll say I don't like Dodges at all, or Stellantis, whatever.
The only thing, they have like a quiet button on their screen. Like you don't have to dig for it. That was one thing I like. I drove a Challenger when I went to Off-Rodeo in Vegas. That was my rental car. That was great. And I was really impressed that, you know, like you go on road trips, you look at that screen for however many hours you're in the car, and like you just need a break. Well, most of the cars have a thing you can go into quiet mode or, you know, easy screen or whatever it says. On the Challenger, there was a button right on the dash to like turn the screen off. And I was like, ooh, I like that. I want that. I don't think it would make me buy a Challenger, but I was really excited about it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those little like pop out things that you go, man, could we just make like a Frankenstein of all these like all these features and all these different cars and make like a supercar of like, I want this of this and this of that. And yeah.
Right. Well, and come back to what Dave said about, you know, the couple $1,000 discount. My thought was, because personally, I am able to get A plan or Z plan, whatever the retiree plan is, that I benefit from my dad's hard work for 35 years at Ford Motor Company. Yeah. That I feel like that they're equatable. It's not that big of a difference anymore. You know, I don't feel like I'm getting that much of a discount. I'd be better off, I think, in some aspect of sitting down with a salesperson like Allie or anybody else saying, okay, this is what I want. What can you do? Which you can't do that when you use those price plans. So, and I don't think if I use those price plans, I'd be able to use any, you know, a lot of the other incentives that are available.
How do we justify the fact that I come from a GM household and I don't use my family discount?
I know, girl. Well, it's because it's GMs.
Wow.
The thing is, I come from a GM family and I come from a Chrysler family. I work at Ford. That's saying something huge. I'm like, no, and like I always feel bad because like my grandpa like worked there for years. Yeah. And my cousin next door, he can use my grandpa's discount plan. I can only get him friends and family, which gives him invoice pricing. Mm-hmm. And he literally gets a better price at Chevy. And he won't buy one. His wife drives his wife uses my grandpa's PIN numbers, but not my cousin.
Not funny.
Like, well.
Yeah, like Ford Video Guy said, I bet Christmas is fun at your house, Allie.
Christmas sounds great.
So, yeah. Let's not get into the holiday stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been interesting for sure with all of these manufacturers right now. And I know Dave's pulling up something that's been interesting amongst the YouTubers out there that he kind of you did a rant on.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a full. It wasn't a full.
Are you doing a rant?
It wasn't a full
No.
WTF.
It
Never.
wasn't a full rant.
That's BS.
Yeah, but yeah, no. So I would just want to end on that real quick. Anything else, Jess, that we need to know about the incentives? I mean, because people are definitely. I mean, I'm looking at that mini right now, going, "Oh, that's a cheap price."
Sorry, Kelly, I didn't mean it.
Christ, now Mark sells me things. Now his girl's selling me things.
We have softball to pay for.
Right.
No, I
Right.
think the only other kind of tidbit, and I think I mentioned it, is like really check on that fine print. Like Allie mentioned, you don't necessarily have to turn your vehicle in, but you have to provide proof. So you can't just show up and be like, yeah, I own a Ford, and they're going to give you a discount on a Ram. Like, there seems to be a process. Allie can probably walk us through that more, but it's location specific, year specific, make model specific,
Now,
and
please
they're all
don't screw
different.
your salesperson on that. That'd be great.
Yeah, right.
Guess what? You don't provide that proof. Realistically, that salesperson's paying for that. So,
Yeah. But it's just like anything else. You walk into that dealership, kind of with that information and know what's available. You're only setting yourself up, hopefully, for a little bit more success or a couple more bucks in your pocket. Or you can buy floor mats or something.
Ooh, who doesn't like floor mats?
Floor mat.
Ooh, I love floor mats.
What? Love me some. Hey, floor mats are the shiz. Like, they save a whole lot of dirt. I can pick that up and dump it.
Yeah, if anybody needs floor mats for a 4- or 2-door Bronco, we have several sets over here.
You said for a 2-door, 4 or 2?
Well, yeah, Mark tore out his whole floor and put that fancy liner
yeah,
thing in.
oh.
And I'm on like my 3rd set because people gave me some.
Because you have a problem.
Yeah, you have an influencer
No,
problem.
no.
Jeez.
No, I only paid for the 1st set.
I think it's the drive one.
No.
Sorry. He's having some technical difficulties
There
there.
we go. All right. So last topic I want to talk about, and you guys might not know a ton about this, but I'm seeing more and more of this. And well, Allie might be a good one to respond to this. I'm seeing it's over. Like, these guys are getting millions of views, and the one on the corner was Rev Nation, who was in here a little bit. And I'm going to poke at him a little bit, but I don't blame people for, if there's $1 to be made, go make it. But I'm seeing all these guys just ripping up the industry, that every time they walk through their personal dealership, it's over. Look, they've had this one for 300 days, this particular one. That means Ford's going out of business. Well, Jeep can't sell anything now because they've got 4 Gladiators from 23.
you're just doing clickbait, and it's freaking annoying.
But they so they have a deal. They go to their local dealerships, and they walk through the dealerships, and they talk about how horrible it is. But the biggest thing that I found about all of these is 99% of them are actual work for these dealerships that they're shitting on.
Wow.
Really?
They will walk through their own dealerships, or the one on the left-hand corner, that guy, he's a used car salesman. And he goes to auctions and stuff. And I've watched some of their videos. It's
I'll
funny.
tell you right now, if I did that, my manager would kill me.
Or they'll go to competing dealerships too. But they have a very limited scope. And there used to be one something, I forget, the dad and son. They're into a lot of these. Also want to sell you here's how you buy a car, pay my $50 program, and we'll sell you a car. Once again, it's America. Entrepreneurs, make money how you can make it. But what I'm seeing it over and over and over again is this particular guy in the middle couldn't make it reviewing cars. So what did he do? He started shitting on the cars, and now he gets 2 to 1 million views a video.
He probably gets so much more views if he actually shat on him too.
Well,
Oh, God, don't. No.
well, he has
It's a
a
different platform. Mm-mm.
No,
he's got a thumbnail
that's
picture.
not YouTube.
Yeah.
That's a different.
That's
Fantasy
other channels.
The
Sorry.
views and
Oh,
opinions
oh,
of our
sorry.
guests are their own opinions.
Yes.
No,
100%.
but so like Scotty Kilmer up here, Scotty's just that wacky. He started off as the shade tree mechanic. He's a mechanic, and he was out of Houston, and now he lives in our area. Christ. But Scotty is wacky, but he's that crazy uncle, and he plays that crazy uncle well, dude. And
Is he
he'll
the
do a
crazy
sit down.
uncle that no one talks to at Thanksgiving?
Well, I don't know, but he'll sit at his
No,
desk like this, and his arms are always up in the air.
Well, it's like Pete Deggan says. He's been predicting the apocalypse for like 8 years.
Yes, but what I find funny, and every one of these guys do it, is it's the same. Every 3 videos is the same video over and over and over, and I'm like, does nobody get burnt out on this? Like, Clearly not, because look, the middle one, 3.6 million views over a year ago on this, and it's over. Ford dealer screwed truck buyers. Now they're paying the price or whatever. It's like, I think Allie's still in business. I think she still has a job there. I don't think her dealership is out. But what I've noticed is, so negativity feeds negativity, right?
Oh, 100%.
Positive people don't get on YouTube to look for positive reviews. People that got effed over, that had an issue, a lemon car, and all brands have a lemon every once in a while. It just happens. And they feed on that in all the comments, man. They just are the same shit over and over and over of negativity, and I get it. People have bad experiences, but these guys have monetized that bad experience to the extreme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's absolutely. And I mean, well, we kind of saw it when we were talking about our experience or some of our bad experiences we had. Some of those videos got more views than
my WTF. My first WTF got 87,000 views, but I was legitimately mad.
Oh, for sure.
About something I was purchasing, and I'm in the industry, so I had a platform to do it.
Oh, 100%. So there's legitimacy there, but I mean, like, you can definitely see that across the board, that unfortunately that's what people sometimes are looking for.
Well, what's funny too, with a lot of these guys, they want to be legit. I'm a legit, I've got the serious face, or I've got the beanie on, so that means I know what I'm talking about. But the industry looked at these people and just is like, what the F are you talking? Like, you're entertainment is what you are.
But here's the thing. If they're getting the views, they're getting the money, so they don't need the manufacturer.
They don't, but they want it. I know a few of these that want.
Oh, I'm sure.
They want manufacturers to drop off press vehicles and stuff. And could you imagine being a PR rep for Jeep, and that guy on the corner there he loves to pick on Jeep especially. Can you imagine us going, I don't know, that's the guy I want to lend my product to, so he can just talk about all the awful things about it.
Sure.
But what an industry. I've paid attention to it for a while, and I've been trying to figure out a way of doing a video on it. And so I did a video on it, and I'm having fun in it. At the end of the day, we live in a world where if you can make $1 legitimately, and not screwing people over, luckily they're not selling Bitcoin right now, or some meme coin like Hawk to a Girl or whatever. Like,
stop.
No, she's in trouble right now.
She's screwed.
Yeah, she's going to jail. But I mean, Allie, you can speak, I think, to some of this. I mean, obviously, I'm sure you've had a bad experience with a customer. They just, whatever reason, it didn't work out. They still probably bought the car, and then get on social media, and somehow you're tagged in like friends' posts of like, F this girl, she screwed me over. Like, and the salespeople really don't have a lot. I don't know anymore. Like, you just present, here's the deal, here's your credit score.
They
don't even know the credit score.
No, but I'm saying
Allie doesn't even do that. That's totally somebody else that does the money part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like, I love how transparent we actually have gotten the last few years. Because, like, we've had changes at our dealership that were definitely much needed, but, like, not getting into that. But, like, it's crazy to me what customers will do and, like, lie about. We want to sell you a car more than you want to buy one. I can absolutely 1,000% promise you that. Like, our managers will do whatever it takes to sell the car to a point.
Sure.
But it's when we literally do everything. We give you everything you want. Because, like, you guys have to remember, like, when it comes to, like, free stuff, nothing's free. It comes from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Whether your salesperson is buying it, they're charged for it some way, somehow. Like, you have to remember that's coming from somewhere.
Yes.
And the fact that, like, we go the extra mile, we do whatever, and then you still go and, like, bash it. That's the one thing that irks me so bad. Because it's like, we can do everything for you at the end of the day, but you're still going to go, and you're still going to do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, nobody talks about the good experiences. Everyone only talks about the bad.
Yeah, positive people aren't going to go out of their way to complete, like we will.
No.
But for the most part, positive people don't go to the internet to brag about everything.
Well, in Allie and Jess, you both know we're part of a certain group on Facebook where people will come ladies will come and they will complain and they will say, oh my gosh, are these vehicles really unsafe? And it's like, no, they're actually
everything I have, not to be like, yeah, don't buy one.
Right. So like they're actually a beast. And my response,
I hate that page more than anything.
My response 99.9% of the time is, remember, people don't compliment vehicles as much as they complain about one little thing that they might have wrong with it. So keep that in mind, that one person having a bad experience is going to blast it everywhere.
Right.
But 100 people having a great experience, they're going to put it in one place or that type of thing. So you've got to keep that in mind too, that if it bleeds, it leads. Unfortunately, that's just how everything is.
Yeah.
But that being said, like if you have a great experience with a dealer or that, give them a review. Like
the Google reviews do
reviews do amazing things. So,
especially I know like Laura, who Alcione Ford there, like those small dealerships, like they live and die by Google reviews now, which is I think it's kind of a bad thing because
it sucks for them.
Yes, it's not necessarily a fair one because they have to go in. If somebody just starts trashing your company for no reason, you can fight it, but it takes months. And how long has that been out there?
It takes forever.
Yeah.
Well,
I will say, like, it was so sweet because obviously I can't sell all the Broncos in my area as much as I would love to. There's been a couple of people at some of the Michigan Bronco Club events and like the thing is, I don't preach my dealer at these events because like people have to remember, like, I am a human.
For sure.
I don't want to work 24/7, even though I have the last couple of years, but like there is a cutoff point. There was a girl at an event who truly knew, they must have just like tossed her the keys and said like, good riddance, like good luck. Literally knew nothing about her Bronco. So at an event, I took a good 45 minutes to an hour going over the entire car.
Yeah.
Like absolutely everything, programming stuff for her that she had no idea what to do because they didn't even do the basics. Had no idea about Bronco Nation, had no idea about Bronco Off-Rodeo, had no idea about Ford Pass. So I literally went and did all of this stuff for her, and she actually went on our page and wrote me a review.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So I'm like, again, very few people actually do that, but it does go a super long way.
Well, so I pretty much know I could go start a brand new channel today, go to every dealership here in town, and just trash every one of these manufacturers.
You can
and could grow a channel
all day long.
But could grow a channel really, really fast. But what I'm trying to be as legitimate as I can as we do, and we have fun with things at times. But this one video in the middle, I guarantee you paid that guy about $20,000 for one video where he went to his local dealership. Now they have a script, like
talk points.
Yeah, they're not as their speech is probably better than mine. There's not a lot of ums in their videos, but like what easy money. But at the end of the day, it just pisses me off because they screw it up for legitimate journalists because the PR teams see these guys at the views they get and they'll look at you and go, well, why are you not hitting these numbers? Yeah, why are you we're at 14,000 subscribers, whatever. Why do you not have the 100,000 or 200, 300,000 these guys have? And you're like, would you like me to trash you? Right. But at the end of the day, I want to talk about cars because I love cars. You love cars. Allie, I know you love Ford products. Jess, when you have a Bronco, you love your Broncos.
Wow.
We're still in the driveway, so she's hanging in there.
Okay. No, but I want to. We have to report on negative things. Sometimes there's good things about cars that we like, and then there's bad things. But at the end of the day, I want to be as fair and honest as I can about it. And I think at the end of the day, yeah, these guys can be around for a few years, but at some point you become tone deaf and you move on. And this is my future. This is what we're trying to build here is a future of what we want to do, not a quick get quick
scheme.
Yeah, scheme. And then I've seen these channels change their name multiple times too. The father, son, Zach, and whatever his name is, the dad was an auto dealer, and he was a sales manager or something like that. They've changed their company name like 3 times because I think people buy into that. They buy your shitty program that here's how you really buy cars. The smart way to do it. You buy into that program.
I don't know that channel, but
and it used to be something I forget. But at the end of the day, I think that people get over that and they're like, crap, views are going down. We got to change the channel name. And they go and bait in new people. And it's a pyramid scheme of sorts.
Well, it's a marketing strategy is what it is.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's when you think about that and how that looks like, that's what granted, we need to market a little better on our channel. Obviously there's something we need to do to kind of branch out or do those things. But yeah, so that's actually a marketing strategy that says, hey, if it's not working, let's go ahead and like pivot. But when you're not staying true to what you're wanting to do, if you don't have a goal in sight, I mean, hell, if we were trying to do this and try to get rich, we would have quit 3 years ago because it didn't happen.
We documented lost 10 grand last year.
Yeah. So, all that being said, so
I think it speaks to media as a whole, not just YouTube, not just the amateur media folks or guys with a video camera who think they have a pedestal. Like I sit up in this office during the day and my television's on downstairs until about 10 o'clock in the morning when I have to turn it off because I can't deal with what comes on at 10. But like listening to Good Morning America and the local news, like it's that negativity, that fear, that anger is what continues to drive everything. And it's like sickening, and I mentioned, we kind of talked about this the other day, like the gaming industry has this exact issue. There are people on YouTube that talk about video games and only like get everybody in an uproar about how every gaming company and every producer and all the things are terrible and they're ruining games and all the stuff, and everybody feeds into it. We don't have to talk about the people that talk about politics and news. It's all the same. Like, that's why for me, me coming in, being a fan of All Terrain Nation, before you like welcome me into the family, like I want to listen to what you guys are saying because you're talking about stuff. What?
Shut up, Dave. She's being nice.
Let me keep going up. Come on. I made a PowerPoint. But
this is
part of the billet.
I got a slideshow here in a minute.
Stop it. Okay, we're talk.
But no, for real, like that. And I think, a lot of people in the chat might be able to do the same thing. Like on Monday nights, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends in the chat, right? Like, and we're talking about positive things and we're having fun and we're joking. And I think that's good. Like we need more of that instead of just like screaming and being pissed off about nothing. Like, let's talk about cool stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and there's good channels out there like Rob's talking about Ford Video Guy there, Tim with Long MacArthur. Like I like that they called Allie out when I was watching Tim one time, and Allie I think it just came on the show early on, and he, I'm sure you've had some dealings with him at some point, but it was nice that he, it's not in his best interest
not call out shout out
on his dealer's channel to start talk about other good dealers. But that's what needs to be a little bit, especially for the dealer channels. I get it. You're competitive. I get competitive. It's just, it's human nature to be that way, but it's nice to see like guys like Tim and them, and Sarah, they go out of their way to look for good dealers, and they'll check out the dealer, but they're getting feedback from their audience as well about these dealers. So, but at the end of the day, it bothers me that, I guess for one, I am a little jealous of the money they can make doing that. But at the end of the day, any penny we make on this, I want to know that it was my true thought. Your true opinion is you guys' opinion on this. Like I want to feel good about what we're putting out there, even though I've got negative videos out there, but it's because of a real reason. It wasn't because I just walked through a dealership and said, sucks.
Right. You didn't say, let me drop this bomb today and see what happens.
Yeah. So that was my little bit of a rant on that. And
no,
I know.
Are you ranting? Never.
I'm not, I could be angry on that one, but I don't want to be, because I know some of these people like Rev Nation. He was going to come on the show one time and he was doing stuff. He was doing reviews on vehicles and, had a couple of the videos take off, and I get it. And that would be easy you're struggling because a lot of these channels, when they start, I can go back to their early videos. They're legitimately trying to do walk around videos of cars. They get 100 views. That first negative video that gets them 100,000 views.
There's a dopamine drip that comes with it.
And it's that, well, that, and they see the money.
Oh, for sure. But that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. You get that dopamine drip because you're like, ooh, this is what it's supposed to look like.
Mhm.
And then you go, ooh, there's the money with
Well,
it too.
and there is for YouTube in general, there is a dopamine hit of like when you launch a video, and I'll watch it, and I remember the little viral video we had, like it was crazy. I would refresh, there'd be another 1,000 views. I'd refresh, another 1,000 views, and you get excited because you're like, people are listening to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to be.
I don't listen to him
Um,
at home. Can you tell?
No, you want to have a reason, a good reason to people, and not just be negative. But
Yeah.
I bet that's 100% of it too. Of like, I'm making.
You
it.
want
I'm-
validation.
Yeah, 100%.
So that being said, like that's why you'll always have authenticity here as well, because we want that to be authentic for you guys too. Like it's not ooh, I told you something because I felt like I had to tell you something.
Well,
like,
we're very serious about with our credibility.
Yes.
That's why you don't see a lot of there's sponsors that could be on this channel that have asked. And I'm very cautious, especially we've seen in the off-road aftermarket world,
yes.
where I've seen people just screw people, like the hardtop issue.
Yeah.
I was very cautious on that, and we got suckered into it a little bit and put money
Mhm.
down. Luckily, we were able to get our money out of it. But so I'm always very cautious to use my brand name, which we've created a brand here. You know,
Mhm.
I'm very cautious to put that against something like that. And so to be known as that, what's he going to shit on this week?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I kick rocks, man. I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
So there we go.
But that's
guys.
the rant. There's
Uh,
your rant for tonight.
Allie, you got anything you wanted to bring up tonight? You've been a little quiet. I know Canoo. You're really into the Canoo vehicle now.
She's really excited about Canoo.
Ford's going to buy
Watch
them out.
the
You're going to have
video.
to sell them.
No.
She said no.
No. I'm glad that's not working out.
Wow. People losing their jobs.
I was thinking the same thing.
I'm sorry, Rivian will hire the 20 people looking for a job.
Yeah, true story. They will.
Hey, that was 28% of their workforce, Allie.
Do they come with paddles? Ford video guy said.
I was
For
very
real.
I was very like me and my son worked on that I have a plethora of Canoo. They're an easy company to do a thumbnail for in these videos.
No.
And
Because they're so ugly.
no,
They're
but
so weird.
the name of it is just it's easy to it's an easy one to do.
And somebody did comment on my shirt tonight, and this is absolutely me. Like, I'm not bossy. I'm just aggressively helpful. That's
Yeah.
just me.
No, she's bossy.
I'm not bossy.
I'm going
Stop.
to help you the way I want to help you.
Exactly. Exactly.
My life.
That's it right there.
So this was the thumbnail for that video. They've been really fun to make the thumbnails for. So, but go check that out. I'd appreciate it if you did. But Kelly, anything? Oh, Cincy Cycle was asking about Tennessee Off-Rodeo. What can you recommend about it?
Highly recommend Tennessee Off-Rodeo.
Oh my God, all the things.
Do what's that?
I said, oh my God, all the things.
Yes, all the things.
Go.
So it's fabulous. The guides are amazing. The terrain is great.
I don't want to say it, but I think it might be my new favorite. Sorry.
I didn't force you to say it either. She
Sorry,
may or may not
Amy.
have told me when we went to Off-Rodeo together.
Amy and
but-
Mike, if you're watching this, I'm sorry.
We still love you. But yeah, it's
I miss you
definitely-
dearly. Sorry.
So it is absolutely it's in the Smokies, so like it's a great location if you want to do a family vacation or a vacation on the front or the back end of it. It's easy to get to too. I know a lot of people have asked. It was like, where would you fly into? And Knoxville's a smaller airport, but it is an international airport, so you can definitely fly in. Or if you wanted to do a Nashville, Knoxville, or Nashville trip, like Allie flew into Nashville, drove my Bronco over that day, and then flew out of Knoxville. So, you know, it's easy to do the Nashville and do that. So I know a lot of people want to come into Nashville. Like it's the new party capital.
Well, and if you're in the Cincinnati area, that's not
Yeah.
a bad drive.
Yeah, for sure.
What,
If you're in Cincinnati,
71, I think.
Or if you're going to Bronco Super Celebration, stay tuned.
That's right.
I know people have asked. So Allie says stay tuned. So just stay tuned for right now.
We gotta get our clock back.
Yeah, that's
Oh
on you.
yeah, we gotta have Tom on soon.
Yes. So highly recommend. I can't say it enough. Tennessee Off-Rodeo is amazing. It's beautiful. It's great.
Oh, and if you're a Jeep person watching this, and you're in the Tennessee area, come
Do a half
check
day.
it out. Just come check it out. You may be curious about the Broncos, but you can see all the aftermarket you want to and go, well, maybe I'm interested in that. Maybe I'm not. But
You're talking Supercell. We're talking Off-Rodeo still.
But Supercell. But
if you're a Jeep person and want to go to Off-Rodeo, you can't pay for a half day.
Yes, you can pay for a half day event.
And two, like we had a blast at the Jeep invasion that we went to. I go cross pollinate, man. Go see what the other guys are doing.
Cross coronate.
That's right. Off-roadinate. I don't know. And while we're on it, because it's killing me here. Currently,
Rob, you have to pay for it.
We got Cincinnati v Dallas. It's 2020 right now in the fourth quarter.
I was wondering what you were looking at over there. So, Rob, so people that don't have a credit that are going to Supercell, I don't know I don't know anything about this Supercell Off-Rodeo, which is what Allie was saying, stay tuned to. But I will say, I do know if you don't have a credit and want to go to Off-Rodeo traditionally, you can purchase a 4-hour or a half day event through the website and book at broncooffrodeo.com.
Jason, you can do both of them.
That's what I just said.
You can spend a day. It's only a 2-hour drive over to Nashville.
We actually know people that come over for the entire week and then say, hey, I'm going to Nashville for the day because they're like, today is not the day that I want to do all this stuff.
I have a feeling Jason wants to see a Kid Rocks and all. Jason,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So they will actually come over for the entire week. They'll leave for a day, go to Nashville, and then come back because it's only like 2.5 hours.
Supercell.
Yeah.
Supercell.
Well,
Jason, you know the answer. Don't even.
Yes, you just need to do both.
Yep, I think
obviously.
So. Well, so that is the show tonight, guys. If you ever want to get a hold of us, go. You can reach us on Instagram or allterrainnationmedia@gmail.com. Definitely go follow Allie. Allie, what's your socials?
Allie DuBois. Across the board.
Across the board. Jess, what's your socials?
Unbridled Bronco.
There you go.
There you go. And what's Mark's?
At Bronco, AT Bronco. He just changed it.
Cleaned it up a little bit. Definitely go check all these out. We're all like family, and come join our families on our socials.
And this weekend.
Yes.
This weekend one more time.
Yeah, let's wrap it up with that. So this weekend, if you're in the Nashville area in the region and want to show up,
no matter what you drive,
it's all you can show up in a car.
Could it be a 2-wheel drive?
It could be a 2-wheel drive.
What about a 4-wheel drive?
Stop. Let me tell it.
I didn't even take my car last year. So, you don't even have to drive.
Didn't need your car because we didn't need your car. We enjoyed some cider and some.
I'll tell you what, the beer's good. Totally worth it. The company's better, but the beer's good.
Agreed. So bring a toy, show up. It doesn't cost you anything except for what you want to buy. Like at the event, they have food, they have beer, they have non-alcoholic drinks if you're interested in that too. But yeah, it's just going to be a bunch of off-roading folks that are joining, but there'll be people, overland guys, off-roading guys.
Yeah.
We've been actually going for several years before we were even Bronco people.
Yeah, they had some raffles last year. And it was cool. They're right across the street from Mill Creek Overland. I think that's
so it actually starts, the check-in is over there for sure.
Yeah, they had a bunch of cool rigs and all sorts of stuff to look at. So it was like kind of little museum of like their stuff and then everybody's vehicles that they brought. And I met Santa last year. So I mean, you never know what's gonna happen.
Santa.
I selfied with Santa.
I know him.
So there you go. Come out and selfie with Santa. Bring a toy to give back to the community. And whether it be 2-wheel drive,
4-wheel drive.
Does it really matter what you drive?
I don't know. Jess, does it?
I'm only driving one thing right now, so no.
As long as your vehicle actually drives. This has been your All-Terrain Nation. I'm your host, David Boyd.
I'm Kelly Boyd.
Jess, Allie, and we're out. Peace, everybody.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.